On today's episode, we talk about the end of con season, but it's all online. I'm Rob Swackhammer, and this is Make Them Awesome. I really actually need to put this back over here. Oh, talking to myself, sorry. Of course, that's what happens when I hit one other button that I plan on, but that's okay. So, hey folks, it's Rob Swackhammer, and of course, I'm joined by Tacocat over there.
Hello.
How you been doing, Kirsten?
Good.
Good.
Busy watching con stuff online and school online.
And all the sequencing that you've been working on?
Yes, lots of sequence.
Lots and lots of sequence. I say, as for me, honestly, yeah. See, folks, there you go. So for me, honestly, it's been doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work for this, which we'll actually talk about a little bit later. But I will say, things are in the works, and I'll just leave it at that for now. So it's been a couple weeks, but it's really funny because typically, for us nerds, the end of con season is Labor Day weekend. Well, what are cons, or at least in real life? But with everybody shifting to virtual platforms, it's been very interesting to see how they tackle things, honestly. And there was actually a great article, and I think I still have it in the... perfect. Yes, I do. Still have my clipboard. There was a very interesting article that I actually randomly found this morning when I was just waking up, where they kind of talk about certain things. Some people have already known about, like, all the force majeure clauses and stuff like that, but there were some very interesting pieces about how to tackle moving the con experience online. And there was unfortunately, I forget who. Oh, it was actually one of the founders of Anime NYC that mentioned this. And they mentioned that just really trying to really just have, like, all the panels just be like presentations online, and with people having quote unquote Zoom fatigue, they didn't think it would quite work.
It's a real thing. You get
Yeah.
tired of Zoom.
Well, and I think there's some of that. I kind of have to wonder if part of that, well, one is from a presentation standpoint, which is why I have, what we do like this way, specifically. But also, and something they very specifically mentioned, which was part of our mission for this, was interactivity with your audience. And I think that's something a lot more people are going to have to think about. Now, Kirsten, with some of the stuff you've seen so far, with, say, Virtual Crunchyroll Expo, let's start with that one first, because that was actually during Labor Day weekend. Because I watched maybe like 3 minutes of it, and I was like, yeah, whatever. From what you saw of it, what was your takeaway from VCRX?
So the main reason I watched their contest was because I had friends in it. If it wasn't for the people I knew that were in it, I probably wouldn't have watched it. And I liked how they had the entries displayed. Like, they all made very nice little cinematic videos.
Mm-hmm.
But the overall, like, running of it with the hosts, not to bash on anyone, like Rob mentioned, he kind of got tired of it.
Yeah,
It could
very
have been
fast.
done a little bit better. Like, the hosting aspect, the entries were great. I liked them all.
Okay.
The judges were hilarious when they got their few little bits in, because, Kamui cosplay is always funny to listen to, especially when she brings a corgi into the picture.
Yay.
So, and then there was, I think, some interaction with the chat, but I don't know how much overall there was.
Right, yeah.
And like you said, interaction is a thing that makes it or breaks it, essentially, because you're either you might as well be having a PowerPoint presentation and just lecturing at someone if you're not going to try to make a connection.
Yeah, and that was part of the reason why we did the photo demos, when we were able to do them, and that was plans for, more cosplay stuff, was like have the higher level of interactivity. So it's going to be where what I'm going to be very curious to see is how, now that cons are kind of starting to get their feet wet and doing this, and kind of really starting to understand, it's like, well, okay, what do people reasonably expect and want from an online presence? How that maybe plays into future events, especially like big ones like CRX. So,
Now, I don't know how they ran their panels. I did not catch any of that. So maybe
right.
the smaller events that didn't have two hosts, what, four or five judges, and then 40 competitors in it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it
Jesus.
was a large thing they were doing, and they were on a time crunch to show all of the videos because they had a little intro video for each person,
Mm-hmm.
plus their skit video. So
Right.
it was a lot to put in their 2 hour time block or whatever it was.
Yeah, and maybe that's something they could have figured out, or actually, let me take a step back here. Maybe that was something they should have considered. It's like, well, hey, how many actual channels do we need? I mean, I know they had like the four areas, but they're all very subject matter oriented.
Hmm.
Where, maybe you should have had, like, say, a CRX1, a CRX2, so you can get like one all set up on one side while another's going. And then if you run long, then that's okay. Stuff like that. So there is that. So the other big one that actually just wrapped up, one of the other big ones that just wrapped up today was World Cosplay Summit Endgame, which, and of course,
Al has words for this.
yeah. What are your words, Tao? What are your words? Use them.
Aww.
So, and I watched the end, and I actually donated to the Kickstarter.
I did as
Because
well.
yeah, because
I actually used my email and then my Facebook to make two separate pledges because I was like, I want to do the first two, and you can like do
so
all,
you
you
did
can
the
do multiple from one account.
yeah.
So now my Facebook has a Kickstarter account, and then there's like a normal one attached to my email. So
Oh, okay. So you did the name and credits and the photo mosaic, or
yeah,
yeah, the photo mosaic bit was really interesting
just
idea.
figured why not. It was
Yeah,
only like $10-ish, so
I'd almost thought about that one too, and just like, and then I got to thinking about, it's like, man, what photos am I gonna would I submit? Because I would do it of like
I'm
all three of you.
hmm
So
yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It
yeah,
will at least be Lauren and I. Maybe it will be a full MTA one. I'll figure that out later.
yeah. So, but the thing that really got me, and unfortunately, I only watched like a little, some at the end, just to see how much money they were going to get,
You missed the
was
beefy part.
yeah, all the educational content,
It was great.
and I think that was, and honestly, because the main contest is held in Japan, and honestly, I don't know how exactly they broadcast stuff, especially for a worldwide audience, or even if they've really considered it before now. Like, I don't know.
As far as broadcast stuff, I think it was last year maybe they had the contest via YouTube live.
Well, I
I
was
think
gonna say I
I
wouldn't be
think there
surprised
was
if they
that.
used Nico Nico Live, because I know that's a big streaming platform over there.
Yeah, I just meant for those that weren't in Japan, so like
Right. Okay.
worldwide. I believe it was on YouTube because I think there was a few people who mentioned that
Mm-hmm.
in some of the chat stuff earlier today. But they were like, it'd be great if you did more of the events via YouTube Live or maybe stream it on Twitch because
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of people around the world that would like to see all of the little steps involved with WCS.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the thing I was really going to stress was the amount of educational material, especially because it was all from WCS alumni. I mean, that's an insane amount of knowledge.
Well, there were some representatives from this year slash next year that were also involved.
Yeah.
So not
So,
alumni yet.
right, yeah.
The
So
alumni.
that's one thing I had to wonder about too is, like before, had they considered maybe the educational component, and I think on their YouTube channel there was a little bit. It's not, unfortunately, it's not very well organized. But like I said, I don't think they've had to think about it before. So, but I think now it's like you have to wonder. It's like, well, is that something they should be doing? I was gonna say, how much of their content did you end up watching?
So I only watched a little bit on Friday because I was busy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday, I watched a good amount of it. And then today, I watched pretty much all of what was on as of 8 a.m. in Texas. I did not watch the earlier stuff because I did want to get sleep last night.
Right.
But I watched quite a bit of it. I saw some of the educational stuff from like U.S. teams. There was, let me try and think about what all I watched and I remember the name of. Because some of it was just like chats between multiple people, and then some of it was the educational. So there was December Wynn's embroidery panel where she talked about thread painting, which was really cool because I've done embroidery. Like if you've seen some of the stuff I've made, you know I've done embroidery.
Yeah.
However, I was just taught this is a satin stitch, this is a chain stitch. Here, have fun. So I didn't know a lot of terminology and some of the fancier stuff. So I got to learn a lot there, despite that. I'm not a beginner with embroidery because I've done quite a bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a wig styling panel, but I don't remember who did that one because that was one of the offline hours, so it was not live. It was pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Apalka Ash's 3D printing one was great, and that's why I'm now heavily considering ZBrush again.
Yeah.
I've been tempted before, but now I'm really tempted because it's really cool. It's like I was telling Rob, it's more artistic, so it's like sculpting something rather than I'm going to click this point and drag here, click this line and do this, that Fusion 360 is. Even though Fusion 360 is great for 3D modeling, it's a different way to go about it.
Yeah.
Then there was the one that the 2019 Team US did with the 2020/21 Team UK. They talked about Team UK's costumes and stuff. That was pretty cool to talk about the details, and they showed a lot of pictures and videos.
Okay.
But yeah, it was overall, I really liked the content that they had. And there was a whole bunch of other. Hello.
Oh. Hey E, how's it going?
And we know you too.
Yeah. Well, the one I didn't even realize up until after they did it was they actually had one about doing underwater photo shoots.
Oh yeah, I saw that on the thing, but I did not watch that one, and I wanted to. But
yeah, and so
time-wise, it didn't work out.
Well,
I think that was Friday, right?
No, it was actually today.
Oh.
Yeah. So one thing I want to bring up, not only with this, but also with Virtual CRX also, was the fact that the videos aren't available after the fact. And I know some other cons do this, like PAX actually streams some of their stuff, but you can't get it after the fact. Or say versus MAGFest, like part of the point behind MAGFest is really kind of a history of video games and the music and the art and everything. So it makes sense for us to, well, say us because I haven't been with them since 2018. It makes sense to archive it and make it publicly available. So, and I think that's something, maybe these cons will have to consider in the future, whether they should be on after the fact or not.
One thing that came up in the chat room, because the WCS chat room was very, very, very interactive, and even with the live videos, they look a lot to interact with people. And most of the time, even when it wasn't the live videos, the person who did the video was in the chat to talk and answer any questions.
Yeah, because I remember you said something about like one of the members from Team Mexico from a couple years ago was in theirs, but theirs was pre-recorded.
Yes, Shema from 2015.
Oh, 2015.
The they were the representative. Oh yeah, I like that Humble Book Bundle thing. I got it a few years ago.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I have them on my other laptop, I believe. But yeah, so the WCS chat, very interactive, and then the different people who hosted it, they kind of hot potatoed who was moderating discussions, but they also were very interactive, and they have been convinced to wax their chest. I don't know why.
That was funny. Like during the end, because they raised over 11 million yen, which was just like around 100K
It was
USD.
103K US.
130K? Okay. So,
103, not
oh,
30.
103? Okay. So it was funny because they actually, like one of the hosts that was there, they actually did waxed his chest while they're talking. One of the hosts was like about ready to lose her shit.
She was.
The
It was hilarious.
translator, fortunately forget his name, but most of
Paul.
the time he was really well focused on.
But there was a couple times he slipped up and like
He
he was
did.
like,
He did
"Okay,
crack a couple
can you
times.
repeat that? I got way too distracted."
Yeah,
It was
that was
hilarious.
that was pretty hilarious, honestly.
And then AK Weeru in the chat. Oh man,
Fucking Weiroo,
he was.
Jesus. I
Yeah,
swear to God, once he gets to Canada and gets in, we're gonna have him on. I'm gonna try like hell to get him on a stream for something. I don't know what
it'll be
yet,
fun.
but we're gonna try like
And
hell.
he was a judge for us at Acon 2018.
Oh really?
I think it was
Okay. Oh yeah,
2018.
I remember that because it
Yeah.
was.
He was very, very, very nice in person, and yeah, so it'd be great to have him for chat. He's hilarious too.
Oh
Like, if you
yeah.
don't follow him on Instagram, follow him on Instagram. It's great
Oh
content.
yes, please. Actually, or I wonder if he has a compilation of his getting out of costume videos somewhere. I wonder.
Yeah, I know he posts them on Instagram. I don't know where else they are,
Yeah.
but they're definitely on Instagram.
I
They're
just didn't know if he
hilarious.
maybe had them highlighted or something in there. So
Maybe he has them under Reels, but you'd have to look.
yeah. So actually, both starting this week, and actually one started. It was Saturday. Was PAX Online started this weekend, and we're going to have RTX at home, which is the Rooster Teeth Expo. So here's the thing. I have some questions about. Why are they both creating content for 10 days? Who has the time or mental bandwidth to keep up? And I do have a follow up to that, but I want to get your take on that.
Well, I mean, I could see 10 days working if you had a wide variety of material like WCS's. They had 3 days nonstop streaming.
Right.
If they had more time to prep, they could have done more days of stuff because, like, last year there were 40 countries involved. So there's 80 alumni from 1 year.
Right.
In previous years, I don't think it was 40. I think just 2019 it was 40. But still, you're looking at a wide number of people, so you could do a whole bunch of different content. But for these two, what kind of content are they going to be doing?
Yeah, well,
That's my question.
And there was
just
actually a
gonna
very
be-
interesting thing because earlier I was actually looking at PAX's schedule, and what made me actually go think to look at it was, somebody we know in the VGM scene, 88-bit. He's performing today, but it's at 11:30 p.m. Central on a Sunday night.
Why?
And so one thing I did notice was that, because we know PAX, they have PAX Australia. So they definitely do have that audience they need to, feed there in a sense. But when I saw that, and I'm like, well, are they going to know, like, who some of these people are? And also, once again, because you're doing content for 10 days straight, realistically, how much audience are you going to capture?
It's a very good question.
It was same with RTX, honestly, and especially more interesting for them is because since they've been creating content from home, and they've like actually cranked it out. There was actually an article I saw earlier this weekend where they said because of all the content cranking, they're like 14-hour days are common for them now.
Wow.
So if you're doing that much now, how is the RTX at home, experience going to be different? That's my question. And I don't know if anybody in the chat has been to RTX like recently. Like I used to go, but then I kind of stopped consuming their content, and I stopped. Plus, their tickets were way too damn pricey, honestly. I mean,
really are.
For a con
For
with
sure.
a bedtime. No, I wasn't about to pay that. So, but yeah, I thought that was very interesting. To see that they wanted to run that long, where literally everybody else has kind of stuck to like the 2 or 3 day structure. And actually, to that point, because this was brought up during the WCS Endgame, where they were talking, somebody had suggested about, doing content on a somewhat regular basis.
There's actually a few people who brought that up.
Yeah.
Some of them were just viewers, others were a couple of different alumni.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, are we going to keep doing this? Because, I'd be willing to do this. It'd be a great way to connect all of the countries and celebrate cosplay. Like, that's what WCS is for.
Right.
So.
Well, and so, like, I'm going to take an example that has recently started, and I think it's a good model, honestly, is what OkashiCon is doing. So they actually have a schedule where they do something different, like maybe like every other weekend day, and actually they're doing some stuff during the week too, but it's at like easily viewable times. It's content that's relevant to the audience, and you're just not overloading them with stuff. And for stuff like PAX and RTX is going to probably be the more difficult one just because of what they do. But for PAX, I have to wonder, maybe that's how they should have tackled it too. Because they have 4 different, because if you consider they have 4 different events, Prime, South, East, and Australia, maybe that would have made more sense to kind of split it up in some way. I don't know. So, and also one other one that's going on today is the MAGFest Big Ask. Yeah, that's MAGFest for you. So probably as a lot of you have heard that MAGFest Super, yeah, for good reason, we all know this. And pretty much, their entire slate of events has been wiped out. They originally first moved to online was for what's MAGWest. And that was actually announced a few months ago, but Super is now canceled. They haven't really said if they're going to do anything very specifically online for that, which is really funny because, like I mentioned earlier, we streamed it damn near all online. So
there's something that actually leads to that now in the cosplay community, a lot of people are worried about is that many people were hoping KatsuCon is going to be the actual first convention that can happen like normal. Sure, you might have to wear masks, space out some, but it'd be an in-person convention.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that MAGFest, which is 1 month earlier, same venue has canceled, they're like, oh no, what if Katsu doesn't get to happen? What am I going to do?
Well, so funny thing along those lines, not nerd convention related, but kind of as in you attract a lot of people, was the NAB show, National Association of Broadcasters, which is held in New York, is normally early in the year. They went ahead and pushed it back to October 2021.
Yeah, I've also seen talks specifically about Katsu that, hey, does this mean we could have a fall KatsuCon instead?
Well, and I think that's and maybe that's something a lot of these cons are going to have to think about is, okay, can we realistically have something in 2021? Because there was something I saw from Dr. Fauci yesterday actually, where he said realistically some level of normalcy probably won't happen until like the last half of 2021, if not pretty late. And I believe it. I believe it because, us Americans are not very bright, apparently.
Well, and it's not just that, because, I mean, while there are definitely some idiots, cough, I'm looking at you, Florida, there are those doing the right thing. But if you look at the past and other big pandemics that have gone through various places, whether it was worldwide or just kind of regional, it generally isn't just done in a year. Like, you just look at it, they don't work like that. Like, it's sad, and it sucks for conventions, but, it's kind of the hand you're dealt, and what can you do to make the best of it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's when, like I said, I think that's where things are going to get very interesting, from a convention presence, with all this. And like I said, I think it's going to introduce a lot of new ideas, because how many realistically have had a good online presence outside of their event. You know? I mean, there's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a very interesting thing to think about. And also, like I said, a lot of opportunity to me because you can get people, who may not be able to talk at your event because of just logistics or whatever. But now we can do this.
You can get anyone from around the world.
Yeah,
As long as they have internet, you're good.
Yeah, and also along that lines, once things get back to normalcy, or relatively so, this helps those cons be relevant all the time, aside from maybe just like the few months you're getting reg up until like the end of the event,
So you know what that makes me think of?
What's that?
IkiCon, which is a small, maybe like a medium-sized convention, but towards the small end of medium-sized.
Yeah.
They, social media-wise, throughout the year, do nothing until maybe November. Their convention is New Year's weekend.
Yeah.
You get nothing from them the rest of the year. Maybe you'll have a stray person post in their Facebook group, but that is it.
Yeah.
Things go away.
Yeah, they've never been the best about communication, sadly.
And even this year, we've heard nothing from them at all.
Well,
so far.
and I think a lot of it, just to kind of speak specifically to IkiCon, I think with, because of the current situation, because they were supposed to move to a new venue. And who knows how that has gone and how the venue is treating any event that might have been on the books during, prior to that and during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and somebody made a good point is that typically by mid-July, they're typically like ending early bird tickets, and there's been literally nothing about that.
So that brings up another good point with the situation and conventions about, they might want to cancel or postpone their event, but can they realistically? Because that's a very tricky situation legally, which ties into the article that Rob shared in the chat. And then, if they break their contract, they're probably going to have to pay out money and lose money. That means your convention could go away for good. Yeah,
and, and this could potentially be like, a bit of inside baseball, which I don't, no longer really have access to on that. That's kind of the thing I have to wonder about the whole telethon with MAGFest is, now I do know they do actually own a office, well, not really an office building, but they have a warehouse that they work out of.
Okay.
Because they store all the stuff that they bring in for like their museum, some of the arcade, where they store their signage, the merch, and they do have a small amount of people that are paid staff, which is a very interesting thing to say that considering the conversation you and I had with Luis the other day, which I will not mention here for various reasons. Like I said, inside baseball stuff. So I have to wonder, with this telethon, kind of what is the purpose? Is it to like get out of the contract with the Gaylord, or is it really to kind of fund operations? And if it is,
because
go ahead.
You got to wonder if they've been able to actually fully get out of the contract with the venue right now.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, considering,
I'm assuming so since they've announced it, but
did
it go through the proper way, or did they pull out to where they would have been fined legally for breaking their contract?
Yeah, I haven't really kept up with the case amounts in DC, because it is the Gaylord, so I honestly don't know where all
like that's probably like inner working stuff. They know if that's happening or not necessarily us on the outside that are not involved with the running of that show.
Right, and I think that might be another thing where we've not actually heard anything from Katsucon yet, because they
have said nothing.
Yeah,
as of now the assumption is it's going on, but likely the runners are evaluating their options and waiting for the local government to make some kind of decision. Like Austin has a ban on Travis County has a ban on large gatherings. Texas has a limit to it as well. I forget what the statewide limit is. But they could be waiting for something like that that is their justification for backing out of that contract.
Yeah.
So
Like I said, I haven't really kept up with DC, so I don't really know in
yeah, I
that
don't know
regard.
either. I have some friends that live near-ish there, and
Right,
as soon
yeah.
as something is done, they'll probably let me know.
Yeah.
So
So, but there was one thing, because I actually popped into the MagFest stream for a bit, because I was just really curious what they were doing. And here's the one thing that kind of struck me as odd. So, you know how with the WCS stream, they had goals they wanted to hit.
mhm.
Um, MagFest wasn't actually, they didn't have a goal defined. I thought that was very strange
That is weird. Because
because
most people, if they're going to stream, have some sort of goal, whether it's
yeah,
raise money or some kind of educational type content, something on the spectrum.
yeah, it was like, well, okay. So if you don't have a goal, how do people know how much help you need? You know? I was like, I don't know. It was very odd because the rest of the production designers like that was pretty good. So why that got missed, I'm like, okay. But then again, I think this was kind of thrown together pretty close to the last minute.
Hey, the WCS stuff was thrown together in like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
So
know, right?
you can make good stuff happen in a very short time.
Yes,
Otherwise, pawn crunching wouldn't be a thing.
yes. I mean, hell, the only reason why even Mediatron started was because I was called 6 days before I was supposed to drive to DC and asked to bring all my streaming gear. So thankfully, I still had it. So
Oh boy.
ah, so actually, we have E-Man and we have Nightshade in the chat. I was just kind of curious if either one of you have actually paid attention to any of the online convention space because realistically, I don't, now that I think about it, like none of our friends cosplay or like very few of our friends, I'll phrase it that way, have publicly spoken about online conventions. Even in the cosplay community.
I've had friends that have had opinions on them,
I would
good and
say,
bad.
what's that?
Good and bad,
Good and
but
bad.
yeah.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I was gonna say, give me kind of like your overall like 50 foot thousand view on both sides. Well, no, of what they said. So that's what I'm saying.
yeah, there's definitely a very wide mixture because on some hand you do have very good content online, whether it's
Hmm.
educational or whatever thing they're streaming. On the other hand, you have poor approaches to doing that,
Right.
don't really work well. So,
Well, I was gonna say, what's some of the poorer approaches? I'm kind of curious because, like I said, this is all new for like damn near everybody.
boy, so it was mostly related to like the scheduling that they had
Mm-hmm.
and the panels that were going on.
Okay.
Like they weren't something that would have had a lot of pull. Well, maybe they would have had a lot of pull in person, but online they didn't. So overall
Hmm.
scheduling wise, it was just kind of for what they
Oh,
had.
interesting.
Which I don't
Okay.
remember what events it was they were talking about, but I've seen a couple of people be like, "Oh well, this is online, but I don't really see anything that's interesting to me." So
Yeah, and I think and I think that kind of extends to some of the comments I made earlier about like just basically copy and paste what the in real life version was, in terms of the content you offer,
hmm
um, which doesn't always work. So
yeah, I think that's probably the thing is
yeah,
they were just like, okay, well, in person we were going to have XXXXX. We'll just have them do it online, but doesn't really work as well online.
yeah, that was kind of my problem when I saw some of the stuff with virtual CRX was, oh hey, we can get like all these voice actors from Japan and stuff. It's for a ton of shows, honestly, and I'm kind of like, yay.
Yeah, like I said, the only thing I was interested in for that was the people who I know via Instagram that had submissions of the contest, and
Yeah.
that was it.
Well, I was gonna say,
So
and even like, a couple of our local peeps, Xander from Southern Hospitality, and I think didn't you say Rumpelstiltskin was in it as well, or?
yes, she was in it. She was actually one of the first few, and like you said, Sander from Southern Hospitality, and then there's some out of state people that I follow that were in it as well.
Mm,
So
okay. Well, and actually let's actually go back to WCS real quick, because one thing they had mentioned was they definitely want to have a contest for 2021. They do not know yet if it's going to be in person, like their normal event, or if it's
hmm
going to be online.
yeah,
Now,
that's what the president of the WCS organization said.
yeah. So for those who are not really familiar with World Cosplay Summit, it's really more performance focused.
Go watch it on YouTube. It's great.
Yes,
You'll entertain yourself.
Especially Team Australia from last year. That skit was
Yes,
really good,
yes,
and the costumes were, you know,
yes. They were.
uh,
He could like they did actual like martial arts in their
oh
costumes,
yeah,
like
yeah,
rolling around, kicking. At one point, one of them like jumped and like did a leg wrap thing around the other's neck and then got thrown.
mm-hmm,
So performance wise, yes, it is chef kiss for
yeah.
sure.
Well, and also is when you watch the videos, there's also very much a stage production aspect to it.
hmm
So if they were to go online, how does that change?
That's a very good question because I mean, like even just the screen behind them that they project whatever image and effects. Some of them like you're doing magic, so there'll be some magic effect to go across
Mm-hmm.
it. They'll match it up that way to help tell the story, and that's a big part of what some of them do. So if they even if they don't have that screen, what's your difference in the skits? Like your overall impacted view.
Mm-hmm.
How will just that one thing do it? Now you take away the entire stage and setup. Then what happens?
Well, and then let's also go to the opposite side of that. This was kind of one of my concerns when it came to virtual cosplay contests was if you have video, if you happen to have somebody who is reasonably skilled at having good production values in making video, and you have somebody help you do somebody of that skill set helps you make your video, how does that how should that be perceived in terms of a cosplay contest that's all online? Because we don't know, because it's truly international, we don't know who these, what people these teams have access to. Does that
That's a
change?
very good question. I mean, you could have amazing costumes. One has a well done video, and the other one, maybe they only had their cell phone that they could do their video with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be a huge thing. But maybe since it is WCS and they have organizers for each country, possibly they have like them team up to do something so there's some level of consistency.
Yeah.
But if it's like the other contests where it's you handle your own stuff, it's just you. I, I don't know where that would go.
Yeah. Hey, Nightshade, thanks for the follow, man. So, uh, yeah, I mean, like I said, there's so much stuff like none of us have to think about before now. Um, so and especially with regards to say like cosplay contests, like how does that get treated as fair? You know, I mean, because like right now, if you like say you and Lauren want to do a cosplay video for a contest, if we knew it was going to be online and we didn't have this damn virus running around, we'd be like, "Hey Rob, when can you come over and help us film?"
hmm
And I'm like,
Well, no, we
"Okay,
would be like, hey, Rob, what location should we film at? When are you going to film us? How are you going to edit it?
okay, hey, let's bust out Google Sheets and start writing down all the fucking ideas." It's
I
like,
mean, it
okay, we need to do this,
definitely
we need
comes
to
into who do
practice.
you know, what talents do they have?
Yeah. So,
It's
but
no
I was,
longer just your craftsmanship and your performance. There's another aspect of, well, what
yeah,
about the cinematography of it?
yeah. So, I was gonna say, and now that I think about it, I'm trying to think of who I've seen. And unfortunately, oh god, I wish I could remember the YouTuber that did this. And unfortunately, they got their video taken down, which sucks.
Oh.
Um, there was somebody who did a. It was basically like a real life enactment of a scene from One Punch Man, and it was fucking spot on. Like the I forget the guy who played Saitama, and sadly I've not read One Punch Man or watched it. Sorry. E-Man, I have now caught up on My Hero Academia, by the way. Whoa. Anyway.
No spoilers.
I'm not going to spoil it for you. So, but it was like just so spot on. You know, like it was like literally like Hollywood level.
Question, is that the one where they are like fighting?
Yes,
and
yes.
He like blew up a mountain? Okay, so I did see it.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
I didn't know that was actually from the show because I haven't seen this show. That was very well done.
Oh yeah, it was
like the effects. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing.
He took out a freaking mountain, and it was great.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually another thing I've kind of wondered about. You know, for some of the material from like I said, WCS and stuff like that, is because one thing that is kind of starting to change. Was that with licensing and stuff like that, especially for Japan, you have a lot of things to think about when you come to the US, when you go to Canada, when you go to the EU. So for the longest time, I've kind of wondered if maybe that was part of the reason why we didn't really see a lot of stuff from WCS up until like the event or even like the satellite events to get into WCS. I don't know. It was something that popped into my mind while I was watching it, but I don't know how much that played into it. So, of course, I know Japanese companies are kind of they sometimes get a little bit weird about rights, especially outside of Japan. So it's like, hey, where's this anime OST that I loved? Not available in your country. After you watch it like last week. Oh, God. It's like start.
And then you have to go to some sketchy website to find it.
Or hope you can find the CD because it's like it was a couple years old. You know, by that point you can like go grab it. You know, and God forbid like you can use something like Bandcamp or iTunes or Google Music or whatever the hell it's called now. So I was kind of surprised when I found those Love Live CDs on Otaku Mode. I was like, wait a minute. Snow Halation, Cutie Panther, yeah, give me those.
That's
cool. So actually, I think now because we're about 15 minutes out till 5, I think now might be a good time to talk about some stuff we're working on. We actually have reached out to quite a few people about joining us for streams. And actually, the interest level is honestly like a lot higher than I kind of expected. You know, especially for the
definitely had no problem getting people on board. I've had 100% success rate so far. Everyone who I've talked to about it says they want to get in.
Yeah. So well, actually, let's go ahead and talk about one project we're working on. So one series we are working on, and I'm not going to announce who's in it yet. So we are actually going to work on a series called A World Without Cons. And there's actually going to be 3 different versions of it. We're doing musician, we're doing cosplayer, and we're doing artist.
Aren't we also doing a slightly more general one that's like the build up to the other 3?
I haven't decided that yet.
Okay.
I know we've kind of bounced it around, but I'm still not entirely sure. So right now we're kind of all in herding cat space with regards to that.
Scheduling, yay!
So, and a good chunk of people have really expressed interest in the very specific cosplay ones, which I think has been great. You know.
Mm-hmm. We have some cool plans to talk about as well.
Oh God, if you could actually
gonna cover a wide variety of things.
Oh my! Actually, I was tempted to go pull up the list, but not like kind of hold it back so you can see how long the damn thing is.
Okay, like if I have it on my phone screen, I have to scroll down on Google Docs to see all of it.
Yeah, it's
So it takes at least 2 screenshots. It might have turned into 3 since we added a few more things. And the
yeah.
things on this list cover just like talking about cosplay in general in relation to like conventions, all the way to we might do like advanced sewing type things, 3D printing. There could be, I don't know, we haven't talked about leatherworking, but maybe we'll put leatherworking on there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a huge spectrum of things that we want to get in there. And it's not necessarily all crafting, there's other things in there too. So,
Yeah. So there's going to be, we're working on a lot. Actually, since I'm done with my notes, I can just set this to the side here.
oh, that reminds me. If I do get ZBrush and screw around with that, that'll be more to add to the 3D printing one. Because then I can talk
Yeah.
about 2 very good things and how they work with 3D printing. So,
Uh,
if you don't know, I really like 3D printing. I have a maybe 3 printers so far.
God.
So, so I really want a resin one too. Because so far what I have are filament printers.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you found the third one, I was like, oh god, how many
It was
damn printers do you
$99.
need?
How could I say no? And it has a good build plate size.
Yeah,
It's
I was
not
gonna
as
say,
big as my Pulse, which is my fancy printer,
yeah,
but it's bigger than my, well, build plate wise, it's bigger than my QIDI, which sits right here.
mm,
But square footage wise, it doesn't take up nearly as much room. So,
yeah. When I saw the price on the Sculpto, I was like, what?
yeah,
Seriously?
which I was like, yay, clearancing at Joann's.
Well, I was gonna
I
say,
ran down there and got one.
who was it that like one of our friends like they saw your post on Instagram and then like they immediately ran out. It was like either D
They
Kaufman
did.
or Daiichi, one of the people from the Yuri on Ice group from Anime on Ice,
Hmm.
but yeah, they're just like go purchase. I had almost considered it, but I didn't know
You
like
should
what the
have.
hell I'd use
Should have
for
done
it.
it.
Yeah.
3D
Oh
printing
well.
is fun. Even if you just print things off Thingiverse, it's fun. Like, there's a little squid guy that's been going around, and it's like a squid with like joints, so you can move his little tentacles. It's great.
Oh nice. Well, I was gonna say probably
So,
if anything, I'd probably like print like little 3D models of arcade cabs.
oh, that'd be funny.
Well, I thought like because that was actually an idea I think I floated for the sell at cons was just like what would be the game idea we would come up with if we were to make an arcade game and then just like make stickers for like the art and shit. So
Ooh, that's a good question. Very
yeah,
good question.
I was gonna say that's the only other bad thing too about the whole cons going rip is we had if we could get like
A box of stuff that I made for conventions that is just sitting, gathering dust.
that we
Don't-
came and do bloody photo shoots for was actually some ideas for like stuff to sell at cons. We had ideas for stickers and stuff, so and thankfully because we know local artists and sticker manufacturers, we could support the local economy that way.
Mhm.
And right now
We
we
did.
can't. Hell,
Rip.
yeah. So like a it's very interesting, but I think we're going to end up learning a lot,
I think so too.
and I think it's actually going to help because there's going back to the whole event things, like how many, how much of them had online presence,
Hmm.
versus now, and then I don't know. Like I said, it's going to be very.
Well, I think it like expand their reach a lot by having a bigger online platform because like there's conventions I couldn't go to, whether it was they were on the same weekend or what, but now that things are online, I can kind of hop around and pick and choose what I want to do, not just what I'm limited to what I can go to in person.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think that's also a great thing too. With the online presence is you get exposed to people you may have not known.
heck, for the virtual Crunchyroll contest, they actually had an entry from Brazil, I think. I think it was Brazil.
Really?
So, yeah, it was not just US people who were involved in this.
Oh, okay. Well, and actually to that point, the with the PAX online, there was literally like 3 cosplay panels, and one was actually business focused, and the business focused one actually had Yaya Han, and also a spokesperson from Singer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Surprised they didn't hit up Brother, because Brother does quite a bit, and they're also a sponsor for WCS.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when our friend Rebecca did I forget what con it was, but she did the
It
wig
was
dye.
Articon. It
Oh, it
was
was
their
Articon,
online
yeah. When she
thing.
did the wig dye thing with the president from Rit Dye.
CEO.
So, there's a lot new. There's a lot of like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity. Period. So, I think for me, that and the fact that I'm saving a lot of damn money by not going to cons. God, so much money right now. Um, I to me, I think this really helps. That I think it's going to help for a lot of people in the long run because we're going
Well,
to
I think it
all.
also lets people kind of like evaluate what they're doing, why, and all of that.
Yeah.
Like take a step back and look at the situation rather than just nosediving into the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think not only just for cosplayers, but for anybody involved in any con at any level whatsoever. Period. Um, because we always see like, oh man, I wish I could have gone this con. It's like, it's like, well, what did you permanently lose something by not going? That's a good question.
Well, I mean, maybe Lauren and I are at a loss from not going to a Colossal Con yet, so.
Makes you wonder if the Colossal Con Texas is actually going to happen, even though it's November next year.
Yeah, it's supposed to go on November next year, and it's supposed to open November 12th this year, I think.
I believe
I
so.
think that's what
Yeah.
the sign says.
Yeah.
I occasionally drive by it, but I don't actually know if they're going to give us our own Texas Colossal Con next year or not. I hope they can, if it's safe enough, but if not, I'm going to be sad every time I drive by it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was going to say, and that's actually something we really do have to consider is what cons are going to survive. You know.
yeah, because like we said earlier, the dealing with canceling and postponing, like if they're postponing, that's within their contracts, but
Mm-hmm.
canceling, depending on how it happens, if they can't use whatever clause that is, I don't remember the name, um, from the article that they were talking about. Do you remember?
Oh, the force majeure clause. Yeah.
Yeah. So if they can't do that, then they basically have to pay their way out of the contract.
Yeah.
That could kill a con. That could make the con not come back.
Oh yeah, very.
So, so
So I mean, that's where I'm kind of curious about the whole story with MAGFest. Honestly.
well, and like, what did they mention? Was it YumaCon or something? There's something that the article talks about where, as of now, that convention has to happen because of the contracts. They want to get out of the contract, but the local government hasn't extended orders on bans for large gatherings
Yeah.
to the dates of that convention. So as of now, they cannot back out of their contracts without having to pay their way out.
Yeah.
And
I
if they
believe it
have to
was
pay
Yuma.
their way out, that con will die.
Yeah, I believe it was YumaCon. So.
So,
And actually, like the whole bit was or because I mentioned Colorado Anime Fest, and I think that was actually the one that did the Artist Alley as QVC. I think that was the one that
okay.
that I think did it, which I thought was interesting. So, you know, and there's probably some cons that should die. Anime Missouri. Um,
no one would be mad if that dumpster fire went away for good.
God, yes.
So,
Well,
but
and
other
there's
cons we don't want to go away.
yeah, I was gonna say, and there was actually I saw a video about this one, Animazing, which is in Iowa, that went on. I think it was like last month, and it has, or just I will say there's some issues in the org. I'll just phrase it that way, just to kind of CYA on this end, but not. And Kirsten, I'll tell you later. Um, so maybe some that should fall off will, but then hopefully ones like WCS, like MAGFest, hopefully those can hang on during this
Hey,
time.
WCS is hanging on for next year, so
Yeah,
don't know in what format yet, but we're gonna get it.
yeah. So hopefully
Actually, that's a reminder for your local conventions or conventions that you really care about. If they do something online, try to do what you can to help support them so that that convention does not have to fade away into the dark and never be seen again. And
Yeah.
also to artists that you know usually have a strong convention presence, and that's how they make a lot of their money.
Yes.
I feel bad for them. A lot of them, because like we've talked about before, going down Artist Alley, it's not necessarily that you're looking for the artist that you know. You're walking and you're like, oh, pretty thing. I'm going to go buy that pretty thing.
Yes.
So they lose that entire aspect.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's going to be, when we go through a world without cons, there's going to be a lot that we're going to touch on.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of, and I don't know if we'll be able to solve all the problems, but I think just having those discussions is probably going to be good, period.
And we have a good slate of guests from a variety of backgrounds with a variety of experience, so.
Yes. So, all right, it is 4:56 here. So I think we're good to end. Kirsten, do you have any last words here?
So yeah, he mentioned the series that we're going to do, A World Without Cons, and then we do have, like I said, a huge list of things that we also want to talk about. If you have any ideas of things you'd like to see us do or people you want us to live stream with, let us know. And if it's not on the list, we'll see about adding it to the list.
Yes.
So you can message Rob at Make Them Awesome on Instagram, Facebook, or basically anywhere, Make Them Awesome. I'm Tacocat Cosplay. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook under that, and I also have a Gmail for that. But Instagram probably going to get you the fastest reply from me.
Yeah, I was going to say, and definitely, feel free to send a whisper on Twitch. I might not always see them, but that's another way if you want to talk with me. But yeah, literally Make Them Awesome. Like, all the social media accounts are mine. So I'm the one who maintains them and everything. So yeah, if you have any ideas, not only for, maybe people to bring on, but even like subjects to talk about.
Yeah, if you want to see whatever crafty thing, I can find a way to do whatever crafty thing.
Yeah,
because I do a lot of crafty crap, as you can tell.
So. How many rooms?
Hey, I just have a little, okay, maybe not a little, I just have a section of the guest closet that is for costume storage.
When do you take over the dining room and part of the living area?
That's con crunch when I need to work on things and not wake people up. Don't judge me, Rob. I feel attacked right now. Do you see what I deal with? Judgment. But hey, we don't have in-person cons, and as of now, I'm not doing any virtual contests, so there is no con crunch for me. Yay! I can work on things leisurely.
Sanity is maintained.
It is.
Which is good.
I'm not driving myself crazy, which is great, because otherwise I would have been crazy build up to Labor Day weekend for San Japan, and whatever the heck I would have had for the contest there, and after that it'd be school, and then crazy build up for IkiCon with whatever I would do there.
Yeah. So for me, like I said, there's a lot in the works. If you want to help support us, because we're not going to be streaming we don't stream enough to really probably reach affiliate. So, but what we do have is a tip jar. If you look in our page on Twitch down below, you will see a tip jar button. Because we did actually have to buy gear.
It's a great way to support us, because it can support photography when we can do it. It can support props. It can help fund costumes and other things that we want to bring to you guys to show you. So.
Yeah. So if you like this content, please, send us a donation. It's also available on our website, which is always makethemåwesome.com. So just go to the hamburger button on the upper left. I didn't realize it was actually called a hamburger button until like last week. Yeah. Yeah, the 3 lines. It's called a hamburger button. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
It's a button.
Yeah, so there you go.
Why does it need a special name?
Because internet? I don't know. So, I think we'll go ahead and end it on this note. I still need to figure out the end theme because it's all the timing. So we'll figure that out. So our next stream is going to be in 2 weeks. Shit, I didn't have the calendar open. So the 27th, 4 p.m. Central. We're still going to be working on the schedule for A World Without Cons and so forth. If you want to know what our streaming schedule is going to be, because it's kind of a little more spaced out, we do actually have it on our website. If you go to the navigation menu, it is in there under stream schedule, and it does support iCal and Google Calendar support. So you don't have to just
One
rely
thing
on
to
Twitch.
note, though, the World Without Con series might not follow that standard
Yes.
streaming schedule because of the people we're bringing in. Because we might have 4 or 5 extra people, so scheduling is gonna happen.
Yes. So, but we're going to try to keep close at least to Sundays at 4. We might, World Without Cons might actually be like one Sunday after another. We don't know yet. We're still, like I said, herding cats. So, until then, like I said, I think we're going to go ahead and end it. But, most importantly, get dumb ideas, make them awesome. We'll see you next time.